unto God with the voice of triumph. Praise Him, praise Him. Shout unto God with the voice of praise. Clap your hands, all ye people. Shout unto God with the voice of triumph. Clap your hands, all ye people. Unto God with the voice of praise. Hosanna, Hosanna. Shout unto God with the voice of triumph. Praise Him, Hosanna. Shout unto God with the voice of praise.
Oh my goodness, Daddy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All those long years ago, I rode into Jerusalem on a beast much like this one. You may be wondering why I chose a donkey and not a horse. Maybe I chose a donkey because I wanted to bring the image of Abraham when he took his son, Isaac, son of Sarah, up to the mountain to be sacrificed. He may have let his son ride the donkey most of the journey, but knowing that the last part would require Isaac to carry his own firewood that would be placed on the altar, the burden of sacrifice would weigh heavily on Abraham's shoulders, but not the burden of the wood that fell Isaac's shoulders. I have been called many things over the years: Messiah, Redeemer, Emmanuel, but the Lamb of God rings clearly as I think of Isaiah's question to Abraham. Father, where's the Lamb? All those years ago, when Abraham's faith was tested, he delivered his son on a donkey. But instead of Isaiah dying on the donkey, or on the altar, he was replaced by a lamb. As I rode into Jerusalem, I was painfully aware that instead of you dying, you would be replaced by a lamb. Maybe I chose a donkey because of the sign of the status of wealth. Throughout the Father's world, you see donkey referred to as a sign of wealth. If I did this, it was to flip the idea of wealth on its head. It was to show that no amount of money or status is worth stepping outside the Father's will. Maybe I chose a donkey because it simply fulfills the prophecy of, behold, you the King come to you, triumphant and victorious. He is humble and he's riding on a donkey, on a colt with the foal of a donkey. Maybe I chose a donkey because people see horses as a sign of war, and the donkey is a sign of peace. I was to be a king after all, and I entered the city where my throne shall sit. I was not entering to engage in war, but waged incredible peace by following my Father's will and being obedient even to the death on the cross. Maybe I chose a donkey because they are the beast of burden. They have carried the weight of the world on their shoulders for generations. On the cross, I was burdened with the weight of the world's sin. Let me share a little story with you about a donkey. A poor farmer near Jerusalem owned a donkey far too small to do much work at all. He felt that he could not afford to feed the worthless animal like this one that could do him no good whatsoever. So at the supper table that evening, he told his family he was going to kill the donkey. His children, who loved this little donkey, begged him to sell it rather than to harm it. But the father said that it would be wrong to sell a donkey that was worthless to do a good day's work. Then his oldest daughter suggested, Father, tie the donkey to a tree along the road near the town and say to whoever wanted it, they could take it for nothing. The next morning, the farmer did just that. Soon 2 men approached and asked if they could have the donkey. The farmer said, well, it can't do, it's so small, it can't do much work. Can't be much work. Can't do much work. Jesus of Nazareth has need for it, replied one of the men. The farmer couldn't imagine what a great teacher would need with a worthless donkey. But he handed it over anyhow. The men took the animal to Jesus, who stroked the grateful donkey's face, and then mounted it and rode away. So it was the day we call Palm Sunday. Jesus led his followers into Jerusalem, riding on the back of a small, common donkey. The donkey so loved this gentle master that he later followed him to Calvary. Grief-stricken by the sight of Jesus hanging on the cross, the donkey turned away, but couldn't leave. It was then that the shadow of the cross fell upon the donkey's shoulders and the back of the donkey, and there it stayed. All donkeys have borne the sign of the cross on their back since that very day.